Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the Saturday Morning Coaches Show. I'm Don Julian with Clark Cipoletta back here today. Talk about Wildcats basketball, and a good time to be doing that. They're right in the thick of things in the district race, and so we will be talking with basketball with Clark very shortly. But the teams are increasing. It is getting close to February, and that's when every team during the spring is doing something. And so quite a few of them jumping on board this week. Real quickly, Lady Cats basketball. Last night they won at home against Texas High. It was 52-34. Lady Cats are 5-3 in district play and 11-7 for the season. This week it'll be just the opposite of what the Wildcats have. They will be going to Marshall on Tuesday. That'll be a tough game for them because they lost already to Marshall at home, so they've got to try to make up for that. And then they'll be hosting Pine Tree on Friday. So that's the Lady Cat schedule. Wildcats soccer, they'll be playing today. They're in the Wiley ISD Men's Soccer Showcase, and they'll be playing Wiley East, 10 o'clock, be starting in about an hour. Wiley East undefeated, 6-0, so a real test for the Wildcats, who are on a good roll right now. In fact, they are 2-0 in this tournament over in Wiley. They defeated Princeton and Mesquite Horn yesterday, and their record is 4-2-1, and they've won 4 in a row. And this week, after today, they will go at Highland Park on Tuesday and then play in a Terrell tournament Thursday through Saturday. Lady Cat Soccer also plays today. They're in a Princeton tournament, and they'll be playing the Late Show today. They'll have Little Elm. That'll be a 7:30 p.m. game tonight. And they are 0-1-1 in that Princeton tournament, tying Sherman and losing to Garland, Naaman, Forest. Lady Cats record 3-3-2. And this week, the only thing on the schedule for them is the Terrell tournament Thursday through Saturday. Perhaps a good thing. I talked several days ago with Javier Aguayo, and he's got the injury bug a little bit. He's got 3 or 4 girls that could probably use some time to heal up a little, so hopefully we hope the best for the Lady Cats as they have kind of a lighter week this week. Softball, I just found out that they actually started practice on Friday. For some reason, the UIL has pushed everything forward 1 week when it comes to baseball and softball. Normally the first day of practice would be this coming Friday, but the Lady Cats had practice yesterday, and they have their first scrimmage on February 2nd. Baseball will have first day of practice this coming Friday, and their first scrimmage will be on February the 8th. Powerlifting gets started this week, Wildcats and Lady Cats. And they have the Sulphur Springs meet coming up on Thursday. May even press Clark into action to help them out over there. It's usually all hands on deck, but I think the teams that are kind of playing, they kind of get a little bye in there to where they don't have to help move the weights and do all that other stuff to get ready. And it should be a much smaller meet, and because our meet has been huge, hundreds and hundreds of lifters, and I don't expect to see that. I'm sure it's going to be scaled down with all the new rules and everything with the virus going around. And finally, not team tennis, but tennis in the spring will get started for this semester, and they will be at Sherman for a match on Thursday. And so that's everybody else. And now we can talk with Clark Cipoletta. And a big win for the Wildcats last night. And as Clark said just a minute ago, we had to make it interesting. I don't think he gets extra brownie points for that. And probably if I check that hair, I may find a gray one or two, the way this kind of season's been going. But a game that goes into overtime, Coach, and the Wildcats were up to the task in overtime, outscoring Texas High and beating them 67-58. Tell us about it.
It's always hard to go to Texas High and play. They had a really good game plan against us. They really made it tough to get the ball inside, and that's kind of our bread and butter with this group, trying to feed Justin Hare and Cordrick Turner the basketball and kind of play off those guys. And they were just really physical with us and really made it tough. And once you shrink that up, you got to be able to make reads off of that. And unfortunately, when we made the reads, we just couldn't finish them. So it was a tight ball game. Hats off to them. They were making shots. At points we weren't. But I was really proud of how the group just kept battling. We made some really big plays late, some winning plays that we have really made an emphasis on of late. In some of those games that we've come up short, I thought we were on the short end of making winning plays. And last night when it counted, we made the winning plays. So that just kind of puts you over the hump. So we've, once again, we're that inexperience in this team. We're just trying to find ways to win and win as a group. And we're fortunate we got away with one last night.
Yeah, you mentioned how tough it is to win over there, and of course, completely different teams last year. But we went over and did that game. We were doing the road games last year, a little different situation, obviously. But I remember that game, maybe 2 or 3 minutes to go in that game, anybody's game. In fact, they may have been ahead by a point, and so we had to make the plays down the stretch to win that game. So that's just the kind of they like most teams do. They're very inspired in that gym.
They are. They're just a very scrappy, gritty group that's just gonna you can't put them away. And everybody in our district's that way. You're not just gonna be able to on the regular beat teams by 30 and 40. Everybody's gonna claw and give you their best, and it's going to come down to the end. Who can make that one or two play when it needs to be made. And like I said last night, we were able to make those.
I remember when you came on board as the head coach, and it seemed like decades since we had won a game at Texas High. And you take a crew over there of some young guys and some overachievers and all kinds of guys. I remember Mason Buck was on that team and several other guys, and end up beating Texas High. And I was just shocked. And you said nothing to it, we'll go over there and win. But you know better than that. But I have fond memories of that. I think that team just hit threes like crazy in that big ball game. I know that's probably a fond memory of yours.
It is, and I was telling the coaching staff about that earlier this week. I said, they were like, man, Texas High is a hard place to win. I was like, well, when we weren't very good, I took a team over there to win. So, it's just it's one of those teams, or it's one of those places that it's just a challenging place. And that was a really cool game. That was a big highlight of my early coaching career, being able to go over there with a group that just battled and, like you said, made shots, made plays. I remember late in the game, we're down one, and Bubba Hall makes a steal and takes it coast to coast and finishes. And so those were some definitely fond memories. And it does seem like a decade ago. It seems like a long time.
Yeah, a long time ago. But we were all much different. What as Billy Joel said, we were wearing a younger man's clothes back in those days. But that was a very exciting game, and one I kind of clung to it seemed like the roof was falling in every time the Wildcats played. And want to talk about that a little bit. I've kind of found out about resilience from talking to the various coaches, that it's not always the players that that feel a lot of these things as much as a coaching staff. And you may have had to do as much work with your staff to kind of prop them up and pump them up, but the players, in a lot of cases, they're kind of resilient. They're enjoying it. They're having a good time, and hey, let's play another one, and they can kind of, but I know some of them have to internalize that stuff. Give me your thoughts on the team's mood as they went into the game last night.
Well, you lose 2 back-to-back heartbreakers, and after the first one, you're like, it's just kind of just one of those games that it didn't go your way. But when it happens back to back, I mean, it kind of stabs you in the heart a little bit. And to be honest, a lot of our kids were texting me, and we had some good talks with them, and they were just tired of losing. So that next day in practice, that Wednesday, after the Mount Pleasant game, we didn't even practice. We came into the locker room, and I clipped up from every loss this year, which we have, I think it's like 7 losses. They're from a combined 25 points, and that's outside the Faith Family game, which Faith Family is really good. So those 6 losses technically are 25 points.
Wow.
That separated us. And we talked about, like, we're so close to being very good. but we're not there yet. We're not very good. We're good, but we're not elite. And what's keeping us from being elite? I said, guys, it's 25 points. 25 points, and we're 13-1, or whatever it is, 17-1. I said, so we got to find ways to minimize these mistakes and to get us back over the hump. So we definitely clipped up, and I showed them, hey, this is a winning play. This is them making a winning play. This is a losing play. These are things that kept us from making that next step, and it's not just one of them. Austin Fleming, Coach Fleming, had a great analogy for us, and I think it really hit home. He was pouring water into a bottle, in an empty bottle. So he poured a little bit of water. He said, is this going to overflow? They're like, no. So he pours a little bit more and pours a little bit more. And finally, at the end, all that built up, and now it's overflowing. And, that's been some of our games. One little mistake, you don't think it matters early in the game. But then eventually, it's been proven that it does. So we really talked about just what it takes to win. And I think the kids really responded well to it. And some of it was hard conversations with some kids. And not to bash them or anything like that. But, for us to be great, like, we have to raise the level that you're playing at. And a lot of it's effort and a lot of it's focus. You can only control so much. You can't control if the ball's going in always, but you can control the effort. You can control the coverage, the scheme. So, I think they were just kind of just ready to go. So I hope, this was that moment we're going to look back in the season, man, that was the turning point. Because I've had one almost every season when stuff's gone bad. So I'm hoping that this was that point.
Very good, Coach. Appreciate it. And we'll take our first internal break more with Coach Clark Cipoletta talking about Wildcats basketball right after this break. And back here on our Saturday morning coaches show, talking with Coach Clark Cipoletta, head coach of the Wildcats basketball team. Last night defeating Texas High in overtime by the score of 67-58. And Coach, in lieu of what has been going on with the team with these close losses, a game obviously that goes into overtime, very possible scenario where it could have been the third time the unlucky charm. But tell us kind of how the end of regulation turned out last night. How was that?
So we have a chance to go down and go up, and we miss a shot that that we probably could make, and they have the ball with about 50 seconds to go, and something happens, and I think we end up fouling. We have a foul to give, so it's I think roughly 30 seconds, and I put in our defensive lineup. Bull Turner, Kason Arrington, Malik Cole, Boo Wilkerson, and at that point Justin Harris fouled out. So I think we went with LaMadrick as that fifth guy, and it was kind of a cool moment because as the timeout was called, Boo Wilkerson came up to me and said, "Coach, we're not losing this game, I promise." So it's kind of cool to see the leadership step up and take place. And we made a big play with about 8 seconds to go, get a stop, and we get the rebound, and then we travel. As we come down, kind of got our legs taken out, and we kind of roll over, and they get the ball back on the baseline, and our defense did a great job of locking in. I don't even know if they got off a shot at that point, and just kind of willed herself to that point. I think they were just tired of that situation, and it's cool to see us excel and really lock in and take pride in that moment, because we've been on the wrong end of 3 of those this season. So it was a cool moment as a coach.
And and another thing too, in that situation, you sure don't want to foul.
Right.
You don't want to send them to the foul line for a couple of foul shots, with 0.3 or something on the clock. And so hats off to playing good, strong defense, not allowing the three, and not allowing a basket or a foul.
Yeah, it's that locked in that we talk about, and we work a lot on it in practice, not fouling. We teach a lot of showing hands. Not playing with your hands down so refs can see it, so it makes it easier, not to call fouls and not to hand check. So I was just they locked into their techniques, and when things get tough, you resort back to your habits. And I like to think we have great habits at that point, and I think our habits came to effect and allowed us to get the stop when we needed it most.
All right, very good. And then in overtime period, it sounds like the Wildcats just take command of the overtime and take care of business and get it done. In overtime, outscore them 9 points. That's just really dominant.
It is. We kind of turned another gear. Lamajic Johnson did a good job. I think he had 2 or 3 and ones in overtime. Emphasis of us last night, we were really trying to push the ball and get some easier possessions. It's not fun going against 5 defenders all the time, and we were seeing if we can get out early and get in transition and see if we can't, get some 3-on-2s and some 4-on-3s, so where we have the advantage. And Lamadric did a great job of pushing and, finishing some of those plays late. And we came through and made free throws. I think LJ went 4 of 4 in overtime. Boo went 2 for 2. Bull went 2 for 2. So we did the things it takes to finish games last night in overtime.
All right, mentioned Bull Turner. He's kind of new to the, he was on the football team, kind of slow getting out there because obviously with football obligations. But now he's beginning to mix in with the guys and scores a couple of points last night. Lamadric Johnson, 19, Boo Wilkerson, 15. Your seniors kind of leading the way there. And then your big guys, Cordrick Turner with 11 and Justin Hare with 8. So, and those guys in many games, your big guys, you pump it inside. Still at 6'6" and 6'7", a lot of teams in the district, it's strictly size-wise, and I know that's not everything.
Right.
I don't think Mount Pleasant had a player over 6'4", but man, those guys could really offensive rebound and just all that kind of stuff. But almost nobody can match up with that in the district that I've seen anyway.
Right. No, and really in the state, I think we have 2 of the biggest, most skilled bigs, and we've been really fortunate in my last 6 years of having 2 of the best bigs each and every year, and that's kind of created a philosophy where we throw it inside early and often. And not saying our guards, we don't believe in our guards, we just like to play out of it because it creates, them having to double team, and it creates long closeouts, and it's easier to play off of those guys. And to be honest with you, last night, they didn't play very well. There was a lid on the basket, especially for Justin. Justin missed a lot of easy opportunities last night, and even after the game, he came to me, gave me a big hug, and was like, "Coach, I'm sorry, I couldn't finish anything." And I said, "Well, that's why you have 4 other guys on the court." And like you said, our seniors really stepped up and kind of filled that void. And that's what it's going to take. Not everybody's going to have it every night, but what can we control that night? Who's going to step up? Who's going to make shots? Who's going to make those winning plays when we need it most? And you got to be able to do it. So once again, hats off to our seniors because I think they really stepped up and willed us to a win.
Yeah, and that's what you expect out of those senior guys is that kind of leadership. And I have seen Boo after these tough losses, and you could tell, it was just, that he, was kind of singing the blues a little bit because, who wouldn't? I mean, we all were.
Right.
But so that's good, that determination, to able to take that hurt and everything like that and put it into something positive like, Coach, we're not losing this one.
Yeah, he's such a tough, wonderful kid, and all my kids are, but Boo's just a special player, special kid who, man, just puts his heart into it. It's hard to get out there and take pride in defending their best player every night and sticking your neck out and getting hit and just doing the dirty work. And he embraces that, and that's part of why we've had some success, especially in the last couple of years, because guys like Boo, who just does whatever it takes, whatever role is necessary to get us a victory. And I think guys really feed off of that, and I couldn't be more happy to coach guys like that. They make this job a lot of fun when you have guys that just give you your all each and every day. They practice, they give you their all. Their attitude is all. Their grades are just wonderful, and you just can't coach a better group of kids who give you that day in and day out. So I'm just very blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, you never want to measure him and tell him that he's 6'1" or whatever he is. Just say, yeah, I think you're about 6'5", because that's the way he plays. He plays like a much bigger player, and he's not intimidated. He'll take that ball in there. Now, he's going to get it blocked sometime,
right.
but the good ones just keep on keeping on, and they keep trying and keep getting it in there. And he plays like a much bigger player, even though 6'1".
Right, and it's that resilience word. You're not gonna discourage him from doing it again. and there's something inside of him that just is competitive and hungry, and just goes out there and gives you the best chance to win. We were looking at winning plays, and I pulled winning plays from all our team and who's made the most this year. It gave us the best chance to win, and it was obvious that he led it, because he's one of those guys that once again are just going to do what it takes to win, and is trying to get everybody else making those winning plays. And I showed some clips from the Mount Pleasant game, and Justin Hare comes down court and just pins a shot, just a amazing hustle play. But if the 4 other guys don't sprint back, then the hustle play doesn't matter. So it's getting it where everybody's doing that every play, every day, and really trying just to cultivate that and take that to that next step. So we're getting there slowly.
Very good. Let's take our second internal break. More with Coach Clark Cipoletta right after this break. Wildcats basketball coach Clark Cipoletta with us on this Saturday morning. Wildcats defeat Texas High in Texarkana, a tough place to win. Wildcats win 67-58 in overtime. You're talking about Justin Hare, Coach, and one of the big developments of him this year is his ability to block shots. Just every game, it reminds you of how that this may be something we didn't see last year or the year before. Right. But all of a sudden, he is a shot-blocking force. What's happened?
He's really athletic, and he's getting a lot. Last year he kind of showed some flashes of that, but didn't quite get the minutes he's getting this year. With Cam and Day in front of him, you're not going to play a ton with two guys of that caliber. So this year he's just getting a lot more playing time and getting to showcase that. He's crazy athletic, great timing. There's just, once again, that pride about him that you're not going to get a layup, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to prevent you from doing that. I can remember last year in Royce City, I think he had 3 or 4 blocks in that Royce City game, and you could kind of see that, like, ooh, yeah, we have a shot blocker here, and kind of reminds you of Victor a little bit, protecting the rim, and that's just another great asset, for us. Once again, when the defense breaks down, and it's going to at times, you have a guy there who can influence shots. And last year, you said we didn't have that, but Cam kind of provided that for us and taking charges. So we always had, been blessed to have some type of rim protection. But Justin does it in a whole different way. So it's a good thing he's on our side.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things, a lot of things get the crowd real excited, and one of them is block shots.
Right.
That is something that just gets them excited. They'll jump out of their seat. They see that, because especially if they feel like they put it in the second row or something like that. Of course, most of the time ours are hitting the back wall, but it's all the same. You know what we mean anyway. It really gets fans going.
It's just one of those statement plays, as a big dunk or a block shot or a charge in our case. Those are just momentum shifters, and when those happen, the team really feeds off of it. So I'm glad they happen often, with Justin for sure.
And when you get your shot blocked, it's kind of like, let's play,
Right.
Just like I'm not affected,
No.
So, it's a kind of interesting philosophy, but you don't ever want to show anybody that, they really get to you on something like that. But you completed the first half of district play. You're 4-2. How do we stand right now in terms of the standings with that 4-2 record after the first half of district play?
So we're tied with Longview right now. Longview's 4-2. They hold the tiebreaker with us technically. So it's going to be a big game when we go play them at their place. So hopefully we can win that and secure that second seed. And Mount Pleasant's at the top. Hallsville is, I want to say, 3-2. They're right behind us. And then everybody else is just kind of on down the line. So that's kind of what it's looking like as of now. Hopefully Longview maybe or somebody can give Mount Pleasant a run. Mount Pleasant's a really good team, so it'll be hard to do that. But hopefully they can pick up a loss, and then when we go to their place, we can we can do the same, and maybe give us a chance of getting first. So, but right now we're looking at top 3 as we sit. Hopefully 1-2 in our position going in.
As you would expect with 2 losses, you figure you might be settling into third place. But, there's a lot of factors in there. But Longview is an interesting story.
Right.
Because you talked to Coach Newton, a great guy, by the way.
Oh,
Really
awesome.
enjoyed, and all your coaches. I mean, man, you couldn't ask for a better district of coaches. It
Right.
just seemed like every one of them really top notch.
Mm-hmm.
But talking to him, he told me he had played 26 players this year, and of course he got the influx of about 5 guys that play football. That guy that was a bull in the lane and bulling toward the basket was their middle linebacker or something.
Yeah.
The guy that their big time scorer, that guard Jalen Hale, a 5-star recruit as a wide receiver in football.
Right.
I mean, they're just they got quite an influx, and so to compare them now to what they were before those guys came in and kind of got the rust off, because it always takes that process. But they just kind of did a makeover.
Right.
Nothing, just the players coming in from a new source, and so you can't look at them and say, well, they did this and thus and so early. That's irrelevant now.
Oh, it is, and Newton does a great job, like you said. Great coach. We have nothing but great coaches who are just really smart, really prepares their teams well, and they're great people on top of that in our district. But Longview is one of those. It's a different beast. They got really great athletes that go to that school, and they added a bunch of those to the basketball team here of late, and just some guys that just play hard and just what we call just have some dog in them. They make plays and make it tough on you, and they're gonna try to be physical with you. And they did a really good job of that the first game and just making it hard for us, which made it close. So hopefully when we go to their place, we can make a few more winning plays, capitalize on a few less errors, and make the adjustments necessary to stop them on the offensive end, and come away with the victory. But they're definitely a different beast. I think they'll make a big run in the playoffs just because the athleticism that they have. They're not just throwing linemen out there. I mean, they're throwing 5-star receivers, 4-star linebackers, and that makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, but just like Mount Pleasant, they height-wise, they don't
Right.
match up with
No.
us. But again, leapers, they all can really get off the floor. Very athletic players, that can make up a lot of difference to have a good small athletic player. But you kind of wonder in a playoff run, you're going to probably hit that 6'10" center or something that you just can't match up with all the athleticism in the world, and so you kind of wonder about that size if it'll eventually catch up to them. But an interesting team anyway to watch, as well as Mount Pleasant, who has not lost a game, and I don't know that they've been super tested this year. They're certainly not the kind of schedule that we've played in the past, but they've handled what's on the schedule, and that's all you ask a team to do, as they are undefeated. At least they were going into last night. So, very tough team.
They are, and our district is very, very challenging. I think our district is very good this year. It's very deep. I think they can go into that next by-district round and make some noise. Because you have a team that's ranked in the top 10 in Mount Pleasant. You got Longview, who's just very physical and just going to try to just grind out games, and they prove they can. And I like to think we're pretty good as well, and whoever can to get that other spot. So every night's a battle. I look at some of those other districts and teams are winning 118-10. There's just so much separation in their top teams and the bottom teams. Where with us, I think there's a lot of evenness going around. I think on any given night, Marshall takes Mount Pleasant to a 6-point game the other day. So it's just on any given night, you're going to get teams' best, and it's going to be a grind. And so you just got to be ready to play each and every day.
Yeah, and I can hear the beginning of that speech to get that team ready to play, because you do have Marshall coming up. You beat them by 20
Right.
on the road. But you'll be talking about Mount Pleasant only winning by 6 against them, because they are a pesky little team. And, early in that game seemed like they were kind of hanging in there. But you do host them on Tuesday, have them in our gym, and then go to Pine Tree on Friday. I'd say it's kind of take care of business week for the Wildcats. 2 games that on paper looked pretty good, but again, we all know you don't play them on paper, Coach. You got to get out there on the court and get it done.
The older I get, paper doesn't matter. It used to matter when I was young. You kind of look at, well, this team beat this team by this, and so we should beat them without. That
Doesn't
does
work
not
that
matter
way.
At all. It's all about matchups and who comes to play that night and which way the ball is bouncing and whose mindset's there. So we don't even look at that. Kind of an adjustment I've even made with some stuff was, in telling, like, I'm a big-time analytical guy. So into our scouting reports, we'll say so-and-so's a 16% three-point shooter. Well, we went and played him, and he hit 5 threes against us. He ain't hit 5 threes all year. So we've kind of more taken the approach like, we're going to treat everybody like they're okay and that they can get going each and every night, and just trying to make teams feel us a little bit more, just trying to make them earn it versus, the analytical part, because I think that's kind of bit us a few times, unfortunately. So, like I said, it doesn't matter on that piece of paper. You got to go out there and, just make them earn it and find ways to win, and hopefully, this week we could take care of that.
All right, very good. Let's take the last internal break. We'll come back and wrap it up with Coach Cipoletta right after this. Back here on the Saturday Morning Coaches Show with Clark Cipoletta. And we're talking about this week, Marshall in our gym on Tuesday and then going to Pine Tree on Friday. Coach, what I remember about Pine Tree, as I recall and try to think back, I haven't reviewed it a whole lot right yet, but it seemed like that we got on them early. And then, maybe it was an even game for several quarters. So, they are capable.
For sure.
And especially at home, they'll probably be a handful there.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that are just very well coached, very athletic. They got some size. They got a freshman kid who's like 6'7", so they'll be able to match up with us inside and size. And one of those teams that are just going to give you their best. We got a target on our back each and every night, and we're going to get teams' best. They're not going to overlook us. So we got to come ready to play, and I know they'll be ready. So just try to find ways to, once again, make those winning plays when they matter and minimize losing plays and play together, play hard, and hopefully good things will happen.
How did Marshall impress you when you played them there?
They're kind of one of those quick groups. They're just fast. They don't have a ton of size, but like you said, they're gritty. They have a little point guard who's maybe my size. That really made it hard for Boo to even stay in front of, which is rare. And he just did a good job of getting into the paint and creating for others. And they got some shooters to play off of that, and they're gonna kind of throw the kitchen sink at you defensively. They're gonna run a 2-3 zone. They're gonna run a 1-3-1 zone, a 1-2-2 zone. They're gonna man-to-man. They'll run and jump. They'll try to do just whatever they can just to try to slow you down and keep you off a rhythm. So, we got to kind of be ready for everything. I think we'll have a big size advantage inside. Once again, we're gonna throw it in early and often. Hopefully to take control of the game inside and then be able to play off of that. But we got to do a better job defensively the first time. We won by 20, but my comments were when I walked into the locker room, first thing was that was sketchy. Just because it was one of those games that really didn't feel like a 20-point game. We just let them hang around, and I thought they kind of almost wanted it more. It was one of those Saturday games right after New Year's, so not a lot of energy. So, hopefully on this time around it'll be a little bit better.
All right. I think we get a bye on the next Saturday, right?
We do.
So thank goodness for that. You might be interested to know Coach Newton was kind of complaining about that back-to-back because he felt like he got the short end of the stick because he had Pine Tree and then had to make the trip and play us back-to-back. But, I don't know. Everybody has to do it. And,
right.
We had to, we went to Hallsville, so we had to come back and play. And the game was moved up, too.
Right.
That kind of, made it kind of a short night where back-to-backs in the NBA are always tough. And then, when you go from a night game to a day game, it really makes a difference. So interesting concept anyway. Everybody always thinks, that the schedule's out to get them.
Right. Oh, yeah. And it's hard to prepare. We have 2 days to prepare for each district team.
Yeah.
You break down film, you watch film, you go over their sets, their baseline out of bounds, their sideline out of bounds, personnel. Well, after you play Hallsville, because you don't want to look ahead, you got to do all that the next day and kind of squeeze in everything. And if they do something, super complicated or stuff you haven't seen before, it will make it really challenging. And they didn't throw anything we didn't prepare for, but it's hard to prep on those back-to-backs, like you said.
Yeah, Coach Fleming was talking about how challenging that was to prepare for 2 games in 2 days.
Right.
Everything that their coaches have to do to get ready offensively and defensively. So, Coach, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Big win in Texas High last night, and looking forward to what's left because you've got a whole second half coming up, and look forward to the Marshall game on Tuesday and then your Pine Tree game on Friday. So best of luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's going to do it for this Saturday with Coach Clark Cipoletta, the Wildcats basketball team. I'm Don Julian. Thank you for joining us, and so long, everybody.